Welcome to Freaking History, and we are getting into AP World today, and we are getting into Unit 4, and this is where the action is. On the test in this 1450 to 1750 time frame, Units 3 and 4, they are the biggest pieces because what it is, it's all the land-based empires that we talked about in Unit 3, like the Ottomans, the Safavids, and the Mughals, and now we're moving into the maritime empires, and we're going to see how they got there. The Europeans have been locked out of the trade routes and the access to goods that weren't remarkably marked up for many, many years. And they were really looking to get into the game. And in this first section of AP World, you want to talk about the different technologies that helped them get there. The biggest thing to go back to are the trade routes and the transfer of the knowledge that went through the trade route. The technology, it started in China, made it through the trade routes. We're going to talk about that. You know, from the classical world, right? You're going to talk about the Latin sails that had been around for a long time. It started with the Romans and it finally made its way back into Europe at this time frame for the Europeans to be taking advantage of it. So that's one. Another technology that made its way through was the compass. We know that came from China, that had made its way through the trade routes and into finally making it through the trade routes into Europe. From the Islamic world, you've got the astrolabe to help with direction. Again, with the compass, the astrolabe, these are mechanisms to help make travel more efficient, therefore making trade more efficient. But there's one big piece that's missing here. The Europeans advanced their ship designs, and that's one of the big keys. The Portuguese, under Prince Henry the Navigator, decided to become maritime experts. And so he put all of his work, he put schooling, he put everything together. And these technologies were one of the pieces that he needed to have the Portuguese become one of those experts. The Spanish were not very far behind. They were in the same boat, so to speak. So let's talk about those boats. Two that you need to know, the Carrack and the Caravel. Two new ship designs to allow the Europeans to become more dominant within oceanic mechanism. Now, you know, we can't talk about this time period without talking about the Dutch. Their ship, the Flute, F-L-U-Y-T, all right, F-L-U-Y-T, the Flute, that was another ship that was along with the Carracks that allowed them to take longer voyages and was going to allow them to increase their trade mechanism. Now, they also used wind patterns like the ocean gyre to get around the tip of Africa. And that's another story for another day, but we'll get more into that into the realm of the Portuguese and how they expanded their empire. Now you know your freaking history. Peace.